I am here at the Hans Christian Andersen Park, or just the Solvang Park here in beautiful downtown Solvang, and what we have, the bust of Hans Christian Andersen, who was a rock star of his day, extremely well known. Of course, the movies, The Little Mermaid, and then books Princess and the Pea. But while he is probably the most famous Dane, he's not the only famous one, and he's certainly not the only one who's deserving of attention and accolades. So what I want to talk about today, this is not a typical Solvang, this is not about Solvang, it's about the Danish people though, and notable people who should be up there just like Hans Christian Andersen. I'm talking about the Danish Nazi resistance during the World War II and the occupation of Denmark. Now, Denmark did not have nearly the Jewish population that places like Poland did, which Poland's Jewish population was absolutely decimated. But there was about 8,000 Jewish people in Denmark at the time. And so in September of 1943, there were orders to start rounding up the Jews, and just like they did in other countries, and to start deporting them. I believe it was going to be mainly to Czechoslovakia. Now this leaked out, so they were able to start starting to get Jews and move them to the coast, where they would get on a boat and they would be taken to neutral Sweden. So it turns out that nationwide there was resistance to the Nazi occupation, and they would not cooperate with the Nazis any further after this. This Nazi bastard. They were able to get almost 8,000. It's approximately, they believe it was about 8,000 of the Danish Jews to Sweden. There was about 500 that didn't make it, that were actually deported to Czechoslovakia. But they estimate that only about 51 actually perished in the Holocaust. So about 99% of the Jewish population in Denmark did survive the Holocaust. And I think this is amazing. This is fantastic. The fact that the Danish people acted together against these Nazi bastards, these murderous Nazi bastards, and saved 99% of the Jewish population in Denmark. Probably the highest of any country in Europe. So that's really big. But what's interesting though, I had this trip planned for about 6 months. And so a few days before the trip, I'm on a job and I'm talking to an older customer. And it turns out I asked him where he was from, because I'm from the Long Island, I can hear Northeast accents. It turns out he was from the Boston area. Not only that, he was Danish. So now I'm really interested, because I'm going to Solvang in just a couple days. This is really interesting. So now he's an older guy, nice guy. Turned out that his grandfather, he starts talking about his grandfather and what his grandfather did during the war. So it turns out that this guy Jerry, his grandfather worked for the trains. So you see where this is going. He told me that his grandfather helped transport hundreds and hundreds of Jews at the time to the coast, so that they could then get on a boat and be taken to safety in neutral Sweden. How cool is that? So how awesome is that? That right before I come to Solvang, I talked to somebody whose grandfather actually was part of the Nazi resistance in World War II and helped save probably hundreds, if not thousands, of the 8,000 Danish Jews that had to who had to get out of Denmark at the time, or be deported to Czechoslovakia, where they certainly would have been killed. So there are a lot of unsung heroes. Hans Christian Andersen deserves all the accolades, but let's not forget the unsung heroes, the unnamed ones that were so instrumental in helping change the world and saving 8,000 Danish Jews from perishing in the Nazi war machine. So I thought that was pretty cool to actually meet somebody who was Danish and whose father was an actual member of the Nazi resistance, the Danish Nazi resistance in World War II, helping to save thousands of Danish Jews from perishing in the Holocaust. That was pretty awesome. Always remember Hans Christian Andersen. Remember, there are thousands of unsung Danish heroes who participated at the peril of their own lives against the Nazi occupationist Nazi bastards. But that's going to do it for this particular video. I have to go back home, but we'll get the fountain again. That was pretty cool. And also, it was really cool to be able to meet somebody whose grandfather was actually a part of the Nazi resistance in World War II, helping to save thousands of Danish Jews from certainly perishing in those Nazi bastards, the Nazi war machine. Again, thanks for watching, and you know what to do now.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
So yes, being here in Solvang, my first time, I do have my Solvang approved t-shirt.